Day one of the Chicago Cubs MLB Draft for 2026 took place, and guys, they got some steals out there, man. Like I said, the Chicago Cubs did their thing. We got to talk about it right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. Listen, guys, hope you guys are enjoying the Chicago Cubs Red Series as we head into All-Star break. I'm excited because during All-Star break, you don't want to miss what we got going on over here on the channel. We have special guests all week long for the episodes. So make sure you guys tune in. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss when an episode of Chicago Cubs Central comes out. Next week's going to be a fun week. I'm excited for that one. But we also have things to talk about right now because the Chicago Cubs draft took place today. And the Chicago Cubs, honestly, y'all, did a lot better than I expected. Shout out to the scouts that went out and did the work and scouted the college talent out there. Because literally, I think they did really, really good. So in the first round, the Chicago Cubs had the 23rd overall pick. Who did they choose? They chose Cade Townsend, a right-hand pitcher from Ole Miss. Once again, know this, the Chicago Cubs needed pitching. So it was pretty much a no-brainer to think that the first thing they would do is go out and get someone to pitch. So who did they get? Cade Townsend. Cade Townsend is an elite pitching foundation with his first round pick. Townsend was a breakout star during his sophomore season at Mississippi, going 5-3 with a 3.94 ERA. The scouting report on Townsend reads like this. They describe him, it describes spin as his superpower. He features an elite high spin pitch mix consisting of a mid to upper 90s fastball, a slider, a cutter, a curveball, and a developing changeup. His short, quick arm action generates massive movement on the spin rate of the ball. The numbers for him, he's highly precise. He racked up 88 strikeouts against just 22 walks over 64 innings pitched in 2026. And he's just somebody that offers a lot to be a lot to be excited about on the mound. He was the Chicago Cubs' first round pick. Definitely see him probably starting off in single A, but I don't think we see him there for long. I think he's somebody that's going to rise through the ranks, especially with the way the Chicago Cubs go through pitching. He is somebody that you will see rise through the ranks fairly quickly with the Chicago Cubs, especially if he is dealing on the single A and double A level. You could very well see him in 2027 make his way to triple A if all goes to play. But yeah, man, he's somebody that, like I said, the Chicago Cubs have often lofted wanting to have a pitcher or draft a pitcher with that type of spin rate, that type of swing and miss, and somebody that needs to be durable. So, like I said, this kid, Cade Townsend, is who the Chicago Cubs are banking on. But he isn't the only one the Chicago Cubs are banking on. And they definitely went heavy pitcher when it comes to this draft, or at least the first round of this draft. So in the second round, the Chicago Cubs had the 62nd overall pick, and they got Caden Sorrell. He's an outfielder from Texas A&M. Many analysts consider this pick a potential draft day steal, as MLB Pipeline ranks Sorrell as the 33rd best prospect in the class. So how does somebody who was the 33rd prospect and ranked 33rd prospect in his class drop to 62nd overall? Well, this is how. Some injuries and some things like that and some inconsistencies, like I said, with him made him drop. But however, he dropped right into the hands of the Chicago Cubs. And listen, if it's one thing that we could always use more of, it's somebody who can slug. So Sorrell is a powerful lefty slugging outfielder with immense raw power. He possesses 60 grade arm strength and 60 grade speed. There are minor concerns about his end zone swing and missed tendencies, but his defensive instincts give him a high upside out there in right field. The numbers, he slashed a monster 341, 434, and 743 with a team best 20 doubles, 23 home runs, and 76, RBIs in 2026. He became the first Aggie since 1999 to pull off a 20 double, 20 home run season. So again, he's somebody that is showing you what he can do and what he brings to the table as a player. Again, like I said, he's a lefty. He has slug. He's an outfielder, and he has great defense out there in right field. So he's somebody that you definitely want to be looking at to probably rise up fairly quickly in the Chicago Cubs ranks too. Do not be surprised if you see him, rise up in the Chicago Cubs ranks fairly quickly. I think that you could see him, move from double A to triple A or single A to double A very, very quickly. Then of course there's Myles Bailey, first baseman from Florida State. The Cubs used the compensatory pick acquired from losing Kyle Tucker to draft another high-powered collegiate bat. Bailey is a pure power hitter with incredible bat-to-ball damage. He was on pace for a staggering, historic draft-eligible sophomore season before an ankle injury sidelined him after 26 games. Myles Bailey is somebody I think that we ought to keep our eye on because I've heard very, very good things about him. Again, he's he is a first baseman out of Florida State, and he has slug with him too. So he logged a ridiculous 1.494 OPS with 13 home runs and 33 RBIs in just those 26 games before his injuries. So again, injury caused him to be the 75th overall pick, but I definitely think he's somebody that might have went higher in the draft had he not had those injuries. But again, listen, I think you have right here two picks that fell to the Chicago Cubs that probably should have gone earlier, and Caden Sorrell and Myles Bailey. These are two guys that you're going to want to look out for on the minor league level because it could be soon before long before you see these guys playing in the majors for the Chicago Cubs. And like I said, it would be really, really cool if it could happen rather sooner than later because the one thing that we need slug for sure. So we want to make sure that, like I said, if we get big bats, that we use those big bats and put them to use for the team. Then of course there's lower round pitching additions. Carson Jasa, who was in round 3, the 98th overall pick. He's a right-handed pitcher from Nebraska. The Cubs targeting him continues their draft day strategy of collecting college arms with projectable traits. So again, when you look at this and even with Dylan Marrioneaux, who was a right-handed pitcher out of Northwestern State, he adds further organizational pitching depth for the Cubs development staff to shape. So you look at these pitchers and you say to yourself, why did Chicago Cubs go so heavy on pitching? Well, honestly, guys, we needed more pitching. We absolutely needed more pitching. We needed, to draft pitchers, guys that we could bring into our system that we can bring up. And Dylan and Carson are both those type of pitchers that, the pitching staffs can get their arms, can get their hands on and really mold them into what we need them to be, whether that be, a starter or whether that be a relief pitcher or whether that be a closer, whatever we need them to be. I trust that our pitching coaches will be able to get them right and get them on track to where they need to be so that we can have them, hopefully see them in the majors one day. I know that this is really my first time covering the draft since I took over this channel, but this was such a loaded draft with talent. And I think the Chicago Cubs got 2 steals that I definitely wanted to put out an episode just letting you guys know exactly who the Chicago Cubs picked up and who to be watching out for. Again, Cade Townsend, circle that name because I believe you're going to see Cade Townsend pitch for the Chicago Cubs, and I think you're going to see him pitch sooner than you may think. Again, he's somebody that is very, very talented. What he brings to the table can't be taught, like I said, but that high spin pitch mix, and that upper 90s fastball, that's going to play in the majors. Trust me, that is going to play in the majors. So he is definitely somebody that you want to look at and somebody that you want to circle, because you're going to be seeing that kid. And I honestly like the pickup of Caden Sorrell too. I definitely think that you're going to see him, like I said, play for the Chicago Cubs too. So also, honestly, if we're looking at all of these and grading all of these picks, I would give the Chicago Cubs day one probably a good A minus. We actually went in and addressed a lot of what we needed to address in rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, the Chicago Cubs addressed the need for pitching, because Lord knows we needed pitching. And then of course you went out and you got yourselves 2 guys that can slug. And Lord knows we need hitters. So the fact that we were able to get both of those and handle both of those in one round, I'm going to go ahead and give day one a minus. I think that the Chicago Cubs did what they needed to do. I'm very excited to see what they bring to the table throughout the next couple of rounds, and we'll keep our eyes on it, and we'll see what else they draft. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys so much. Give me your thoughts on these pitchers. So that way, like I said, we can all know what's going on. But appreciate you guys. Until next time, go Cubs.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.